Alright, 3.1a notes. Transformations of functions graph. A function is a relationship between a set of values where each input has exactly one output. These input values are often represented by x, and the output value is often represented by y, or as a function, it would be f of x. Any function f of x can be transformed by saying kind of like a new term. So we can say like the new graph would be g of x equals the original f of x here, so f of x, but with things added to it. For example, a and b, which I had mentioned were vertical and horizontal stretch and compresses, and then h and k, which are vertical and horizontal shifts. Domain is a set of included x values that ranges all of your y values. So let's go and kind of see what this means. What it's showing me here is this. I have my x values, and when I plug it into f of x, when f of x is x squared, then negative 2 squared is 4, negative 1 squared is 1, 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, and 2 squared is 4. I get this graph here. That's what's going to be known as your parent function. It is x squared. It is the most basic x squared form. And I chose this one because it's something that we all know. So now, the next part here, what it's showing me is this. It's saying g of x, what equals my f of x function. So what I just had here, but now I'm going to add 4 to it. So when I plugged in negative 2, I got 4. But in g of x is going to be that 4 plus 4, which is going to be 8. So my new point would actually be a negative 2, comma 8. And you keep going. So here I had a 1, but now I'm going to add 4 to make it 5. I'm going to add, I have 0, I'm going to add 4 to make that 4. Then we're going to keep this going. So now I want to graph this new function, which is my g of x function. And so we get this graph in pink that I just drew over here. It's my blue graph, just shifted upwards 4. So down here I'm going to kind of write, so in terms of words, g of x is f of x plus 4. So it means my original f of x, and then it's going to be shifted, and it went up 4. So we're going to have to be able to not only graph, find new points, but also be able to explain it in words of what occurred. Let's go to the next one. H of x was my original f of x, but now it's going to be minus 2. So I would get 4 minus 2 is 2. 1 minus 2 is a negative 1. 0 minus 2 is a negative 2. 1 minus 2. And 4 minus 2. I'm going to plot these 5 points and create my graph. So now notice what happened. It's the same graph from the blue one, but now I'm just going to go down 2. So original f of x shifted down 2. So in summary for this, I'm going to fill out this section over here on the right. Let's look over here. F of x plus k. K is a vertical shift. It is a vertical shift. When k is positive, which means k is greater than 0, it's going to translate each point up. So I'm just going to put translate up. When it's negative or less than 0, it's going to translate down. Whatever the number is, that's how many you move. Good, so far we've finished this part here. We learned what k is now. Now let's go to the next part. Before going to the next part, I have one quick question that says, write and graph a function to show f of x translated down 6. Let's just do the word about the writing part. If it was down 6, I know it's going to be, so my new function would be, let's just pick any letter. I'm going to say j of x equals my original, down would be minus, and 6. This right here would be a good question, a good easy question to add on a test that just shows do you understand what or how to write using h and k shifts. Alright, so now my next one. Same idea where I'm going with f of x is x squared. But now I'm going to look at g of x. And here it says that g of x is f of x plus 1. So it's going to be a little bit more work, and here's how it's going to look. When I plugged in -2, this means -2 plus 1 now, and that referred to here, so that's going to be squared. So -2 plus 1 is a -1, squared makes 1. And keep going. So -1 plus 1 squared is 0, 0 squared is 0. 0 plus 1 squared, that's 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. And 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So I'm going to plot those 5 points, and my points would be -2, 1, -1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, and 2, 9. Also, look what happened. It looks exactly the same, except now it's to the left one. However, this was this positive 1, but it went to the left. So let's go and take a look at this next one. H of x equals f of x minus 2 now. So, same idea. -2 minus 2 is -4. Squared makes 16. -1 minus 2 is a -3. Squared makes 9. 0 minus 2 is -2. Squared makes 4. 1 minus 2 is a -1. Squared makes 1. And 2 minus 2 is 0. Squared makes 0. Let's go ahead and graph this one out. So here it went to the right 2. Even though this was a negative, it went to the right 2. So let's go ahead and describe what happened in these scenarios on here. Here, f of x shifted left 1. But in the second one, it shifted, so f of x shifted right 2. So let's go ahead and look over here and kind of fill out this information here. F of x minus h. One thing I want you to notice is how the h is inside of a parentheses. That's going to be important. H means your horizontal translation or your horizontal shift. When it's x minus a number here, for example, let's say you saw x minus 2. That means that your h is greater than 0. Therefore, it is a positive h. So we're going to translate to the right. So whenever you see a negative in here, it's going to go to the right. But if you see something like this, with x plus, that actually meant a double negative. So for example, if you saw x plus 2, that would actually mean you had x minus and you plugged in a negative 2. That would make h less than 0, which makes it negative h. So that would be translate to the left. So if you see a positive sign, it's going to go to the left. Kind of think of just the opposite, but only when it's inside parentheses. Because up here, it was on the outside, and it stayed the same. Positive went to the right or went up, negative went down. So if we want to write a quick function right here that says translated left 4, you can always just kind of start by saying, let's just say it was h of x equals f of x minus left would mean negative 4, so it would be negative 4. So it's actually f of x plus 4. Let's go to a couple more examples. So this next section says that the graph of f of x is shown. The graph is this one that we're looking at, and now we're going to be able to use what we know to apply it to any image, even if an equation isn't given to us. So since we know there's a graph of f of x, we need to write an equation for g of x. G of x is represented by f of x being translated to the right 2 and up 1. So if I had this, f of x minus h plus k, I need to figure out how to replace this h and this k. Remember, k is up or down, so k is going to be up 1. So let's change this to a positive 1. H is left and right, so this is to the right 2, which means to be positive 2. So this h will then be replaced by a positive 2. Clean it up, a negative and a positive makes a negative, so x minus 2 plus 1. So that's my equation. The next thing it says to do is to take some of these points and find the new point of it after you do this reflection. So it starts me off with this point here at 3, 0, right here. If I went to the right 2 and up 1, 1, 2, up 1, my new point would be here. And that point is at 5, 1. Now I can pick any other point and try it again. I can pick negative 3, 0, I can pick 0, 3, I can pick this endpoint up here. So any point that actually works. I'm going to just kind of go with 0, 3. And if I go to the right 2 and up 1, my new point is 2, 4. And to finish off this whole graph, if I go from here up for 1, 2, up 1, that makes my new graph look something like this. And we're going to go ahead and try for the next one. The graph of h of x is shown. Write an equation for g of x when it is translated left 2 and down 3. So f of x minus h plus k, down 3 and left 2. So left 2 would make this a negative 2. Down 3 would make this a negative 3. Simplify the double negatives to make it a positive. And there's your equation. Where would 4, 2 become? 4, 2 is right here. My new point would be left 2, down 3. That is at 2, negative 1. Pick another point, and I'm going to pick 6, 0. My new point would be left 2, down 3. That'd be 4 and negative 3. So if I was to draw it, it would become something like this. It'd come down and be shooting straight up again. Okay, this last part here was this thing I've already kind of gone over with you. A is your vertical stretch, B is your horizontal stretch or compress. H is your shift or your translate. When you see X minus a number, that means it's going to go to the right. If you see X plus a number, that means it's going to go to the left. Vertical shift, positive is up, negative is down. Try to remember those. Another thing that kind of helps me is that anything on the inside deals with horizontal, and anything on the outside, which is your A and your K, deals with vertical. Notice vertical, vertical, horizontal, horizontal.